Sure. Yeah. I am rolling right now.
All right.
All right. We're rolling as of right now.
Should we clap?
Okay. Yeah, we should clap.
Yeah.
It sounds weird.
All right.
All right.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, close enough. Also, I just realized that you're probably going to sync it to the OBS recording, so...
True, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's also a bonus.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, so...
We were just talking about how you clear your pre-show jitters, if you have... since you have those.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of... I don't know if it's right to call it body hack or, like, brain hack, but, like...
Yeah.
Trying to understand specifically how your brain works, like... at least for me, it's taken like a very long time to like get a handle on. Like for example, the one I'm obsessed with is like not exactly productivity per se, but like executive function, let's say. That's an easier way to put it. Like I feel like after 5 years or so of like hard focusing on that, I'm only just now getting some traction. Jitter's weird because like right now I feel nervous, but also my podcasting muscle memory can still just go over top of it. So it's a weird feeling. It's like this must be what like celebrities feel like. It's like
Just turn it on.
yeah, they have the practice. They can just go despite how they feel, which is kind of like horrifying.
Yeah.
The things you're
Funnily enough, I was just thinking about that before we started. Like, man, I wish I had that switch, like thinking about celebrities and, you know, the cliche of like, oh, I've been crying backstage, but as soon as I hit the stage, I'm all smiles and I'm personable. Like, it's freaky, but I wish I had that. Like, that'd be so useful. I think the closest thing I have is sort of my work phone voice where it's like, thank you for calling. More like, thank you for calling. How can I help you? Like, it's a different kind of a switch that I can't seem to tap into when it comes to like recording or talk about anything that actually matters.
Yeah. Yeah, it is strange because there's like modes and then there's like the schism, which is like more of what I feel, at least like toward the beginning of podcasts, is like it's more of a schism and I have to just like massage it out. It's almost like ingredients that are like separated out. Like you have to like churn them together for a while.
Kind of like getting into a pool for the first time. You gotta like get used to the temperature of the water and then get your whole body submerged before you can start doing anything. At least that's my experience of it.
This is making me think maybe this is like a good ritual for that sort of thing. Like
this as a pre-show.
Because I think I think the whole, at least for me, a lot of the nervousness is like the intro, like the because you kind of have to like you're putting on a mask a little bit when you're doing that, like
Absolutely.
and you're trying to get it right, and it's like the intro. There's only one intro.
Yeah, and there's so much pressure to get the intro right because if someone doesn't like your show within the first like 10-30 seconds, that's it. I think I see what you mean, and I think I even agree. Like, I'm feeling it myself too. Like, I'm realizing like as soon as you're saying it, like myself, like having that I have gone through the same journey where it's like at the start I'm all like tense, like, oh god, here we go, I need to be entertaining, and now I'm just like, yeah, I can do all the fun things that I was like pre-thinking about in my head before we even started.
Yeah, it's like, why can't I get there faster?
Yeah. Can you like put that in like an energy drink or something?
Yeah, why can't I go faster?
Yeah. Why can't? Get good. It makes me wonder now, like, you know, all those podcasts where people just like get to talking and they're all like, you know, so natural. Do they also have pregame chats first to warm up?
Almost all of them.
I never considered that before.
I guess it makes sense.
I guess from the outside, like when you're not when you don't know the tricks of the trade. It just seems as simple as turn camera on, do thing. Just like how, every school like movie video project goes. You're supposed to just turn the camera on, people do the thing, and then you go to the immediate next scene. There's no editing or anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is a concept I've had recently, sort of like I guess it's like macro versus micro, or like system view, or like the mechanics of the things versus like the skill, the muscle memory, that type of stuff. Like you just can't like I don't know if this is a good way to put it. The stuff you can't fake exactly. You can't just do the thing quite like pressing the button on the camera until you've done it like 100 or 1,000 times.
I guess unless you just don't have like anxiety or anything like that. I don't know about what it would be like for being on stage, but I don't get pre-show jitters meaningfully at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, since you started, I knew that's where you were going.
Yeah. Saw it coming.
Hi, how you doing?
There's us anxious normies, and then there's Tarbuck.
Mm-hmm.
Immune to anxiety.
Yeah. And why shouldn't I be?
True. This is Prince behavior.
See, I know what that means when you say it.
Yep.
I know what that means when you say it, but with no context, that sounds really funny.
See, now, okay, you have to explain the context to me now, because I don't think I know it, but like I'm just imagining basically any main like the quote unquote Prince character like in any Otome game, the like cover art Otome guy.
Gotcha. No, we're it's a class specting thing.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah.
I did not get a chance to look into that today. Well, I did have a chance, but then I RuneScaped instead.
Hell yeah.
No regret.
Yes.
So I guess now it's good time as any to introduce ourselves.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do I want to name this thing? Because I had the original idea was this was gonna be Yes Sequitur. I already did one of those with Oro and my friend Lilith, like 3 years ago now, which that's kind of crazy. Should I just call it that? Because it's kind of just the podcast for whatever I want it to be.
It makes sense to me. I mean, as a thing to do, and as far as I'm concerned, it is, it's not like we're doing necessarily a new show. We haven't decided that this is a new regular show until we're like 5 episodes deep, and at which point it will be way too late.
Oh, I hope it's gonna be like
5 sequiturs later.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, in the interest of like more cold openings, hello.
Hey.
Welcome to. I am your host, Urcoy, multi-undisciplinary artist. I've got two different friends with me today. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm omnidisciplinary craftsman Tarbuck Transom. I have this whole podcast intro and everything that I used to do and can do again because I am a fast-talking craftsman and indestructible super god.
I was waiting for that this whole time.
The anarcho-syndical polyfidel polymath. I kind of want to feel out how many of these things that I want to do. I could just like pull up the actual like written out list and just read them out and everything of things that I do. Lately I have been picking up leather crafting as a thing that I do.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I try to collect skills and ask interesting questions.
Hi, I'm Vamp, aka NotAVampyre. I've never had an opening type thing. I am a basement gremlin these days, finding new hyperfocuses to get into. Lately, it's been vampires. I've actually been into vampires for years, but I didn't realize I was actually really into vampires until 2020, and now they've basically taken over my life to where I am currently writing 2 vampire books at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also better known on YouTube for talking about Degrassi a lot and various musicals.
Nice. All right. Well, there's one other thing you two are known for. At least one other thing.
Yeah.
You have this other podcast. This other show.
Yeah, we're currently cheating on that podcast.
You have been for a long time now. The Arch Plays. When was the last Arch Plays episode?
Dear God.
Oh, probably
Don't
like
ask.
3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Just because, like, there's still like 4 episodes in editing that the audio is synced. I just have to like find the little funny images that I wanted to put on screen and put them in, and then hit go, and then there will be 4 new episodes, and then we can record again.
Yeah,
But
well, like it's kind of a dual thing, because at one point we, on the one hand, we don't want to record more until we have the current ones out, which is only going to happen when Tarbuck gets to them, because if I get my hands on them, I'm just going to throw them out there without the funny visuals. Tarbuck specifically, like when he's like giving his spiels and like saying the things he does in the episodes, he like has like mental flags like, this is what I need to put right here. And like it's not going to be complete until he has those images and funny like references and stuff. And then on the other hand, we also just haven't sat down to record any since then, because like moving various spaces and such.
right, we're like 2 houses out from the last time we recorded one of these.
My gosh.
Amazing.
Wait, no, that's not true, because when at least one of those was a Roma request, which means that it must have happened in Archway 6.
This happened so long ago, I have no idea what you're talking about, other than, yes, I feel like we recorded something in Archway 6, but I don't know. I have the special ability of forgetting everything we've ever talked about on the Arch Plays.
This is Archway 7, by the way. We're coming to you, not live, but coming to you.
Coming to you alive somewhere in the past.
Yeah.
Coming to you dead from Archway 7.
Oh, no. No, we're not.
Schrodinger's Starbuck.
Yo.
I had something. Hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. So, like, speaking of, like, editing, like, pipeline clogs, I still have... You remember that Magic Colors podcast we recorded?
Yeah.
I still have all the audio necessary to, like, assemble that.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who's just like, editing sucks. Like, it's easy, but it sucks. I have, like, a current project, like, where I read old books, and I just don't want to edit it.
I don't even actually think that editing sucks. I just always have things in my material world that are more important. The tool case that I just made, I needed to do that so that I could get those away from like rust and banging into each other, so that I could clear the workspace, so that I could move on to my next thing of making a case for tools so that they don't bang into each other and get ruined, so that I can make a coffee a cabinet for all the stuff that's currently taking up all the space on our countertop, so that I can clear that project out, so that I can, this is a never-ending cascade of, I need to do a thing to do a thing to do a thing.
Is truly the one small favor quest from RuneScape.
Absolutely. Damn that quest. RuneScape.
I've never
reference
even
there.
done it. I just know it's infamy.
Oh, I did it, and like, I think it helped that I knew its reputation first, and thank God for the quest helper, like RuneLight and quest helper. That's the 2 biggest reasons why I'm still playing RuneScape at this point. Like, I am too dumb for these quests, but one small favor, yeah, right. I was entirely with my character by the end, where just like, no, you're not asking a favor too now.
Yeah. I feel the tangents opening up
Oh yeah, and it's helpful that I'm already primed to talk about RuneScape and stuff because
Hell
I'm
yeah.
currently nightmare zoning.
Oh, nice. I haven't played RuneScape in a while. Last time I was trying to do like a challenge run, like the Iron Man mode.
Yeah.
I tried to make a custom like harder one called Steel Man.
Oh.
It's like just even harder. So it's like don't use in-game shops. Don't. You have to craft anything you can craft yourself. You have to craft yourself.
Oh no.
That includes money. So you have to use alchemy to get money,
That's
which is like a convoluted. So it's really fun because it's like it locks you out of so many things, and you have to
Yeah.
like work it like a puzzle box. But like that's another thing that has to be edited. It's just sitting there. So many projects, so little time.
Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing that I've always felt like there's just not enough time in the day to do everything you're supposed to do, like everything you need to do to survive, and then all your fun things, and then like the like side projects on top of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a certain part of that is definitely like reducing the wake up process as much as possible. I have stopped laying
Yeah.
in bed and looking at my phone, which was is a huge like life stealer.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm just now trying to stop that specific thing. Like this morning, for example, I was like, it's really like the lean up to like, oh, let me turn the alarm off, and then you have to like stop yourself from leaning back down. And it's like, wait a minute, just sit here, just sit here,
Yeah.
just stay sitting up, please. But
Yeah.
yeah, actually, yeah, I guess since this has evolved into like productivity or executive function, like I was mentioning in the preamble, one thing I'm starting to lean on, and this is sort of an idea or a trick or something that I've evolved over time.
Mm-hmm.
It started as, I mean, typically it starts as like, just do it is like the idea, which like doesn't help,
Right.
because if it did, then like nobody would have this problem.
Yeah.
That evolved into, for me, was this phrase of like, there's no choice, where it's like, you don't have a choice to do it. So like, oh, okay, let me just like let the muscles take over and do it. And that did help me with laundry, like folding the laundry, because I would often leave that around. So when I implemented that, then it was like, laundry is just not a problem anymore. But that didn't really help for other things, and it's a bit like overly negative, too weighty. And yeah, so from there, more recently, it's evolved into it is done. This idea of like reaching into the future, the future specifically where the task is done, and then feeling the relief of that so that you can just get on with it. So I'm experimenting with that right now. It definitely feels lighter, like a lighter iteration of it. I don't know if it's the final thing, but it feels like it is helping a little bit.
That's fascinating. I don't think I understand the mechanics of it, but it at least feels like it would be a lot lighter than like you must do this or else kind of thing.
Yeah, the or else
Yeah.
doesn't really work for me.
Yeah. Or else what? Literally nothing.
Oh, if you have enough anxiety, you can or else anything you want.
I'm immune to anxiety. I think we established
Yeah,
that.
I know, but I'm not. And like honestly, the like do this, I have to do this or else is like how I've gotten a lot of things done, including making weekly videos for like a year or two. Just
So-
like you have to build up like some sort of like maybe catastrophic, maybe not, but just some sort of consequence to where like it just becomes ingrained to where you have to do it. And that's the probably like one of the negative outcomes of the you must do it that Urquell, you were just saying you're trying to avoid.
Yeah. It's sort of like that method is in a way kind of like a form of like self-abuse. Like so you're just like, yeah, it's like it's pumping all these unnecessary negative chemicals through you. Like, I mean, in a way, like necessary. Like if you have no other tool available and the thing really does need to get done. But yeah, again, if there's no real consequence and it's one you have to inject yourself, usually that's just, it's kind of like it's all you. That's the issue here, is like things where it's all you, whether it gets done or not. Because if it's not all you, at least for me, it's much easier when it's like somebody else is putting a deadline on me. So it's like, oh, okay, I better do it then. And it doesn't feel like, it can feel nerve-wracking, but not in the same way or to the same degree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not nearly as open-ended, at least on my end.
So it is true that when something is important to me to do, I translate that importance into urgency.
Yes.
But not in like a have to do it kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's urgent about it is that if I don't do it right now, then I'll let it go and it will be forgotten. So it's only the like breath of air that you're holding, the realization that, all right, I've got it right now and it will only last while I'm thinking about it, and then it will be gone. Mm-hmm. If this is important, that means that it needs to be done while it's in my field of attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like finding ways to lean into how your brain already works. Because like, yeah, and like a lot of, I guess this is now evolving into the attention disorder thing, but
good, natural flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flow with the go.
Flow with the go. Flow with the gophers.
Have you ever heard me say flow with the go before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so flow with the go comes from a fighting class wherein if somebody is pushing on you in a certain way, like attack is coming in from the right, you receive that and then like grab their hand and pull them in that direction, and they're so thrown off that you now have total control of this situation. You can steer them however you want. You have just like, oh, you're punching my shoulder? No, you are punching this wall, actually. Haha. Like that kind of thing. And so adapting that into a mental, into a mental space, when you have a, like that and another concept from the same class, which was if your flinching, instinct goes up with your elbow, turn that into deflection or strikes or something like that. You can take this instinct that you already have and just tweak it a little bit to make it extremely useful. So if you notice some kind of like habit of yours or some compulsion that you have, like leaning into it as hard as possible is the way to go. Take the first inkling of direction that you have towards some kind of activity. Like if you're like, I don't know what to do with my day. I know I want to do something, but like the only thing that I can think about is like, I don't know, cracking open my emulator and playing Game Boy games. That's what I'm doing today. Bam. That like you take that little snippet of I thought about it and turn that into this must mean that's the thing that I need. Because that's a whole lot better of a direction than the nothing that you had before.
Yeah.
I know for me, like when it comes to that kind of stuff, the danger is overthinking it, like trying to apply sort of like, but is that really what I want to do? I don't know. I just thought of it, but it doesn't sound fun. Maybe I should think about this more. Like, basically self-sabotaging any sort of like trying to roll with the punches a bit.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of it doesn't seem like it would be the type of thing you should be doing, and so
exactly
it like you sort of go into like absorption mode where like all the energy that just came at you just kind of rattles around and then settles down after a while. And then you just kind of wasted X amount of time, and now you don't have any momentum to do anything with.
Momentum is what flow with the go is all about.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like you could apply it to, like, many things. Like, I can't think of anything in specific, but, those moments must be like everywhere
Yeah.
throughout the day.
It's especially nice as a rest technique where if your first instinct is like, I know I have this giant list of media, which I do, of things that I decided at the beginning of the year that I want to watch. I don't want to watch any of them. What I want to do right now is just like sew for a little bit. I just want to like ignore all of my other projects and decide to sew something.
Yeah.
If you like, the fact that you have the inkling at all is some part of you telling you that that's what you need, and you should listen to you.
Man,
Flow
but
the go.
getting to the point where you can trust that, because like I think of like applying that to my life, and I'm just like, but no, I have to do this thing. I plan to do this thing. If I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. I have to do it though.
Right, but you must make, therefore, a separation between your intellectual trust and your emotional trust. Like you have this feeling of confidence and safety in something, and you call that you trusting it. And what you need to do is ignore that particular feeling that it is reliable, and you have to rely on the mental model of, this is how things work. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna trust my head over all of my bodily confidences.
See, it kind of feels like a little bit of like the opposite in my mind. Like, I should be trusting like the emotional thing rather than the head, because it feels like the head that's questioning my like bodily instinct of, I feel like RuneScaping right now instead of any other million things I could think of that I should be doing instead.
Well, if they're switched for you compared to what I said and how I navigate, that's just the difference between us as people.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I'm seeing myself in this conversation as speaking for the non-Tarbucks out there.
The non-Tarbuck.
you gotta adapt it to your own situation. Yeah. Okay. Wow. I'm really glad we were able to get quite that much out of just the little side tangent. Do you want to talk now about the attention disorder list?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So if you've ever looked at like the DSM-5 or 4 or whatever it was when you were a kid,
I think they're currently on 5.
yeah, they're due for a 6.
Yeah.
You know that the diagnostic criteria for things like ADHD or autism and a variety of other things are deeply unhelpful. They're trash. And that's often not how you really go about diagnosing these things. Usually they would ask you like, okay, so you're in here to see if you're autistic. Are you autistic? And then you say yes, and they're like, okay, then you are. And they write it down.
I mean, sort of. I mean, depending on who you get, it's a little more of an involved process. But, like, basically, yeah, it's like, it's just listing off the things from the DSM-5 or whatever. Like, do you experience this? Do you experience this? That sort of thing. And, like, you know, and that's not even, like, getting into the realm of, like, well, who's it skewed towards to catch? I mean, historically, girls do not, and assigned female at birth people do not get flagged as having neurodivergence typically, because everything's written for the other sex.
Yeah, I should have amended that to include the this is the experience if you're a guy. Like as long as the psychiatrist thinks that you're a man, then they'll take you seriously.
Yeah.
So gender mileage may vary.
Yeah,
if
you're femme, it's more likely an anxiety or depression, I guess.
Yeah, there was an era where autism was called the hypermasculinization of the brain.
What?
Did you know that?
God.
What?
I feel like I've heard that somewhere, but like, oh my God.
I've never heard that. I've heard of like it's the boy. It's the trains learning disorder or something, but
yeah, hingeless behavior to describe something such.
Hingeless. Oh yeah.
oh, now that's a $20 word.
I'm $20 void, so I can't purchase this word.
It's a throwback to Neurotype line.
Oh, okay.
Hell yeah.
I have not yet begun to hinge. I've never been hinged in my life.
Hinge? I don't know her.
Who's the most hinged person you know? None of us, surely.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
How about that list?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So,
All right.
What's
Do I
on
have
better
there?
list.
Let me see if I've got it open.
I hope so, 'cause-
I didn't open it in advance of this. I gotta go.
I
grab
think
it.
I also have the MD file as well.
Okay.
I would love.
Um,
I've been wanting to see this list because I know you've been working on it for some time, and I'm curious. I want to know.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
Like,
it didn't
I was one of those
checklist.
people who took like a billion what are you quizzes in high school and middle school.
Here, I'm dropping the current version into the group chat. There you go.
Oh boy.
Okay. Download attention disorder. Hell yeah. Directly into my brain.
Yeah. This is a bullet. Like, I wrote this in Obsidian, which uses a formatting script called Markdown, which is really useful. You have definitely already used it if you use asterisks around something to make it italic. That's what Markdown is. It does a bunch of other stuff, and one of those things is checkboxes. And so I thought, what if I just convert all of this into checkboxes and then print that as a PDF? How effective is that as a thing to do?
Pass list.
That's not what this is. That's not what I just sent you. But
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say
option
there's
exists.
lies here.
Yeah. It's I also have Obsidian. I've been messing around with it.
oh, good,
Nice.
good. I've
I've
been trying to push Markdown based notes editors for a while, and Obsidian just happens to be the one that I'm on right now.
Obsidian messes too much with one of the keyboards I use, and so it's kind of poisoned me for a while towards it. I'll come back
Didn't
at
you
some point.
switch to Florist board so as to not have this problem?
Yeah, but by then, QuillPad has become my everything notepad.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, that's basically the same. It does almost everything that I want out of Obsidian. So, no harshes. This isn't about Obsidian. This is about attention disorders. Here, try this PDF. See if those checkboxes actually work. I didn't test it before sending it to you.
Sure. I mean, I have the thing in front of me in Obsidian as well.
Okay.
Hold on.
I just want to see
I
if
want
this
to try
feature
this
works.
PDF. Can I? Let me
Well,
use my Microsoft Power Toys to like
Since it's a
control
PDF,
space.
I can't checkmark anything.
Yeah, I can't. There's checkboxes, but they're not checkboxable.
Yeah,
All right.
All right. Well,
that's one while it lasted.
should I go through this thing, or do you want to do it? Like naming each one.
Oh boy, howdy. We're doing the whole
Symptom.
thing. All right. Well,
Well, do you want to, or do you want to talk about it?
all right. I didn't finish the setup for it. Okay. Now,
Okay, yeah.
you go to a psychiatrist. You try to get a diagnosis of some kind, and it's a long and frustrating and annoying process of them not giving you really any tools to know what's an ADHD thing and what's a normal thing. They're not interested in you understanding what you've got going on. They're interested in them understanding what you've got going on. So as soon as they're satisfied that you are interfered with enough, then you've got it. But if you have coping strategies that mitigate the effects, then according to them, because they're behaviorists, you don't have it.
Yeah, and I know that's a huge thing with folks with autism too. Like, okay, I need to like show that I'm autistic, but like, have I forgotten how to unmask? Will they believe that I do have these behaviors if I just happen to be so good at masking in front of them?
Or will they think you're faking it because you're a
Yeah.
woman?
Well, I mean, on top of all that,
Yeah. But on the other hand, Tumblr does an amazing job of getting you diagnosed with the
I wonder why.
with the hashtag relatable posts. Okay. I've already talked about at least one of these points. The very first one, the one that I think is the most important, is instantly or never. Urgency is everything. Importance is nothing. Something can be very important, and you can acknowledge that it's very important. You can feel that it's very important, and it does not matter, because if it's not urgent, it's gone.
You can't flow with that go if there is no go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need the glow. You need the go in order to flow.
Yeah, and as much as it's been a conflict between the two of us, like, and like I try to push importance, I've I have to admit that I feel the exact same way. That's why I've historically always waited till the last second on all my deadlines, because I need that sense of urgency to get it done. Otherwise, I can always put it off. Like, I'll always have grand designs of, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on it a little bit each week here and there, and then, by the last week I'll just have to put it all together and be fine. No, I'm doing the entire project in the last 2 days.
All in one go. How about that one?
Yeah. It'll be fresh in my mind. It'll be perfect.
Yeah. A recent example of all in one go was I was helping somebody from the neurocord with their own typology. It just kind of was out of nowhere, but it was 1 8-hour voice call. We were just happened to be there the entire afternoon and early evening. I didn't even notice. I mean, noticed, but didn't notice that, oh yeah, I just did that.
Yeah. And it just feels so much easier when there's a sense of urgency, where there's a sense of I have to do it now. Because at least for me, it doesn't quite feel like I can see the road going forward. I can experience the massive startup costs. It's suddenly that drops to zero because I need to get it done right this second.
Right, and this is one of those annoying, to me now, copes that people have, is having some external threat creating you deadlines is a way to leave yourself locked in a permanent state of panic, and inflict upon yourself a burnout that will last for months. If you were to go on sabbatical after doing one of these things, if you have the resources to do that, it can still take you months to recover from living like this for years. That is immensely damaging, and doing something like that to your brain does also have effects on your body. It'll mess with your sleep. It'll mess with your ability to digest food, even. This is a recipe for destruction.
Yeah, and that's definitely going, like you said, going back to what we were talking about before, the external threat of to get yourself to be in the mode of I need to do this. That's the natural conclusion if you're not careful.
Yeah, I've had many periods of burnout. One thing I tried to do, it's kind of like a yearly cycle where I'll feel, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of things done, and it's gonna be consistent and etc. And that there's an initial high in the first quarter of the year or so. That tapers off pretty quick, and then the summer is just a huge drag, and it doesn't pick up again until maybe November or even December sometimes. It's and last year was the most pointed that I felt it. Partially because one thing I did was I started an activity log, so just every day, just write down what I did, so I could actually see it. I could see the entire cycle play out. It's a very large, looming issue, and I think I'm trying to get rid of it right now by removing these arbitrary obligations or huge projects that I want to do, and just actually trying to fully lean into what do I actually feel like doing today, or even just this moment. Because I just end up, it's just better overall. Not only more quantity of things get done, but obviously they're way more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's healthier for you to not fight against yourself.
Yeah.
What a crazy concept. If only it wasn't so hard to learn that. Oh, really, good luck. Let us know how it goes, because I think that's something that I need to implement my own life, because I think I'm in the state where it's I'm just doing the thing that I feel like, but I've not gotten to the point of like, okay, I'm doing the thing that I feel like, and then I feel like doing this productive task or something. Like it seems like that only occurs if I've had like a good number of hours to like do something like play RuneScape or whatever.
Something to bring your stamina back.
Yeah, and then and then I have to have the time to do something like quote unquote productive. But the hard thing is like how do you like put aside that time around things like work, like a job, and then also like keep up your social relationships.
I have a suspicion about this that we're still experimenting to see if it is the case, but I'm just gonna like put my thoughts out here in case there's somebody in the audience who has a similar sounding problem, which is maybe it is that this stamina is leaking out of you in some place that you don't necessarily realize. Like if you are a person who has to mask autism, for instance, a thing that I don't have to do because I'm the opposite of autistic, is like extend a line from autism through neurotypical and out the same distance beyond, and that's where I live. But if you have to mask or like constantly worry about other people's thoughts and attentions, and you're spending a bunch of mental energy trying to predict what they're going to do, but actually this person that you're trying to predict, unless they're a pretty serious threat to you, they don't matter. You can just ignore that actually, and it won't. Like they'll be mad maybe, but let them be. Like if they're mad, what's really gonna happen? Like you're not a kid anymore. Even when it's your boss, most of the time they're just gonna grumble a little bit and like, fine. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean. Something like that. But them saying that over and over again, they like neurotypical people do not tend to remember such things. They tend to decide something and then not listen to the evidence of their senses to confirm whether it is still the case or not. So if this is something that you're worried about, too late. It's probably already the case that the thing that you're worried about is as bad as it's gonna get. So that absolves you of having to worry about it ever again. So you can stop holding down the sprint button in your mind.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it. Holding the sprint button in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it feels like. I think the hard part about it is trying to deprogram yourself. Like, what if you're holding the sprint button down? Like, I'm not really good at computers, but like at the kernel level, like down where you can't, like, you're not able to like think about it. Like, you're not conscious that you're doing it. Like, how do you dig down deep enough to like whack your hand off the button?
Yeah, I think I feel like I've done a lot of introspection, like in the last, especially the last year. But I found, like, I don't know, you may be surprised like how many layers of protection or just, I don't know, condensation or whatever your brain can put up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it really kind of just takes some like concentrated nothing, if that makes sense, to like just wither it away, to like wait for something to float up to like start to see what's going on down there.
What sort of methods have you been using to discover that stuff?
I mean, kind of just whatever I can in the moment. Like, some of it is picking up little tricks of like, I guess I would put it like rebuilding meditation from scratch in a personalized way.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing what signals are floating around, seeing if there are signals that are discernible, and then seeing if you can grab onto them and then do different things with them. So like you could try amplifying a signal. You could try following a signal, like, is this leading me somewhere? You could try just sitting with it. You could try just turning it off. Like, it's like this abstract thing that's like, can I type stuff into the command line of my brain to just like make things happen, I guess. It's kind of a weird way of putting it.
I get it, but I also don't. Like, I get the concept of it, and it fascinates me.
I guess that's what like guided meditations are for, or particular ones where it's like, you know, do this sequence of bodily things, because all of you is connected. So like, you know, the physical stuff is connected to the mental stuff. So if you do a specific physical thing, your brain will respond in some way, even if the way it responds itself is not like productive or like a keyhole to fixing something. It's still specific. So like trying to find ways to, or see what specific modes your brain has when you mess with it or mess with your body in a particular way, I suppose. I'm at the like hyper abstract level. It's not very specific.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like more details depending on what specific thing you're trying to do and like in the moment.
Like, okay, so on a phone, when you're trying to get into the boot menu, you turn it off and then you hold the volume down button and then you power it back on. And you need to find out what those, like, it'll, like, if you actually do this, then it will, there will be a bunch of code on screen, and then you, as a person who's not very technically inclined, will be like confused and scared, and it'll give you a little menu that asks you, do you want to reboot? Would you like to do this or that, to put it into recovery mode, and let some technician flash an operating system onto it, because the phone has decided you're not allowed to have that. You need to find the hold the volume down and hit the power button for yourself.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going for? Like there's some kind of like sequence of things that you can do bodily that will just trigger something that you were unaware you could do.
Yeah, it can be that. It can also be fully mental, or like you could, how do I describe it? I think the issue I'm having, like the reason I'm having trouble giving any specifics, is because once I figure something out, like once I break one of these layers, I tend to just like forget about it. Like I forget that there was ever something in the way to begin with.
That's
because it's
fair.
just now transparent.
It's dealt with. It doesn't need to be remembered.
I guess I'd say one thing is like, if you want an avenue into this, at least in the mental and emotional side, is like figure out pay attention to the things that are bothering you, and then try to just drill into that. Ask a lot of questions with yourself and try to eliminate different pieces and see if it changes at all. Because like sometimes, I guess here's a really basic one, but like you could be stressed out about a particular situation that involves people, but you could ask yourself like, okay, if all the information that everybody needed was magically sorted out, would I still be worried? If it goes away and it's like, no, that's, you know, you found it, that's what I want, that's the thing that's bothering me, is the logistical thing. Or it could be, you could eliminate the other thing, which is like, if everyone magically got along, and then, you know, from there we just try to figure out the logistical side. If that's what brings the relief, then like that's the issue. It's like the people, not the logistics. I guess that's one example, and that's like, you can kind of see that one like all over the place with people.
That makes sense.
Generally, when I try to attack this problem, especially on behalf of other people who are not as good at this as I am, because I'm just the special most boy, the thing I try to tell them is to, okay, so when you are in a situation, and you are used to trying to figure out what everybody else is thinking because you feel like you're under threat if you don't, that process will get automated. So you'll just be in a social situation and just become anxious and not know why, because those middle steps of having to think about worrying about other people, like having to initiate the process, that part gets removed, but you still do the worrying.
Yeah. You don't even realize you've slipped into it or that there was a path to slip into in the first place.
Right. So the thing that you have to do is figure out first that there is something that is like there's a middle step that is being cut out. And if you don't know why if you can't tell me exactly in like paragraphs level detail why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, that means something is being automated.
Yeah.
And once you've identified that is what the thing that's happening is, you can from there try to notice when you are in like moving into one of these states, and then try to like break it down into its component steps. This is very hard to do because a lot of times these are stressful moments, but it is possible. You can figure out what you're like. What I'm describing here is just what cognitive behavioral therapy is. Figure out what it is that you're doing automatically, and then challenge whether or not those things are actually correct or worth doing. Because sometimes you're depressed because your life is garbage. And so your depression is you correctly analyzing the situation that you're in. And sometimes you're depressed for because you have automated some kind of like belief loop that no longer describes your situation. And undoing that automation and challenging whether or not it applies to you, to what you're doing right now, to the situation that you're finding yourself in, is how you get out of this stuff. It's how you just don't worry about what other people are thinking or what other people are doing. You before you can really internalize that it's just not that important, you have to identify that you're worrying about it in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, by the way, is that one of the reasons why I don't tend to stress about work when I'm on the rare occasion that I'm conventionally employed is because generally speaking, whatever it is not that important. Like the systems are designed for the current population who is not you. You have to try all the time because you have been told that you have to do your best. But what they don't tell you that I am telling you now, you're autistic and my friend, and I need to tell you that when they say do your best, they don't mean do your best. They mean do your best, and then they whisper to themselves while maintaining comfort and ease. You have to do your best within the realm of ease. Actually doing your best is not something anybody does or even really expects unless they're evil.
Yeah.
And that's mind-blowing because my expectation with do your best is like you're basically like Bakuman, staying up all night, all weekend to get your chapter of manga out to the editor, and tirelessly working to get all the revisions done. Thank God. Okay, I don't have time to take another break. I gotta get the next chapter done. Like eternally like that. That's what your best is, just that cycle.
Yeah. You can sprint. You can marathon. You cannot sprint a marathon or it will kill you.
Yep.
The marathon is named after a guy who sprinted a marathon, delivered a message, and then died.
What the hell? No.
Marathon is a place, and he was the guy who ran to Marathon.
Oh, man. Yeah, so sustainability first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's really the theme of this episode. Like, here's all the ways that you can destroy yourself because you're sacrificing sustainability for short-term gains.
Yeah. You don't need to do your best. Because every neurotypical person lives their entire life in a distracted haze where they're just kind of like bumbling through things as though they had just woken up and haven't had their coffee yet, and that's how they live their entire lives. And that's why Family Guy is popular. And you need to realize that these are where the standards are, so you do not have to try.
Yeah. Having standards is good.
Having standards is good for yourself when it benefits you, but if you're doing it for the sake of somebody else, that person had better be damn important.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Oro.
It is so hard to learn, especially when, like, with the urgency thing, like, when you find urgency to be fun in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been listening to some, like, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or something off and on for a book club. And, like, one of the things they point out is, like, the different, like, quadrants of, like, what's urgent and important, what's urgent but not important, and so on. Like, you know, what's not important, not urgent. And, like, everything gets thrown into the urgent but not important category, so you don't really have time to address the actually important stuff. I had somewhere where I was going, so I'm going to keep talking until I find it. Damn it.
So when something is only important, then you push it off on somebody else, or you leave it sit until it's urgent. Or you convert that importance into urgency. This is my strategy. If something is not important or urgent, ignore that it exists forever because it doesn't matter.
I found it. I know one thing that I've been guilty of, and I still do it is because it's fun, is that it's fun to turn things that people bring to you into something urgent and important. Like, it makes me at least feel very like special, feel like I'm being relied on. This is my God-given task. I must complete it to show my worth. But, like, in a sort of fun way, like I'm the only one who can do this. Ho, 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 ho,
Like you're the hero.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the only one who can slay the dragon. And so you make these tasks into something where you have to stop everything you're doing and get it done right the second. Wow, everyone, with your speed. And it turns out you didn't really have to do it that fast at all. They just need it done whenever.
Yeah, I'm much more willing to be let's say judgmental about other people's requests of me because I'm the most important person. I'm the best guy that there is. And thus, if I appraise something as not being important, that means that you were wrong in treating it to be important, and thus should not feel like morally speaking, cosmically, should not feel bad. You shouldn't be mad at me for ignoring this thing that you asked me to do because it was stupid.
Cosmically. See, this is more of that Prince behavior. You know?
Yeah, like, I hear you, and it's like, okay, well, I'm like, you know, the hero, I'm the only one who could slay the dragon. You're the only one who could slay the dragon, and you make sure everyone knows it.
Hey, if you've been paying attention for the last year and change, most of what I just said is now transitioned to an internal dialogue instead of me constantly telling everyone else this about myself.
Well, you haven't been on a podcast like this in a while.
That's granted. Everyone should feel this way. Everyone should start from the position that they are valuable. That they're the most important person.
And that's so hard to give someone, especially because especially like, you know, in our generations, like, you know, like in the millennial generation, and like a little bit of Gen Z too, I think. Like, there is a sort of inherited assumed factor of I'm not good enough. I need to prove myself. Like, I'm never going to be good enough to own a house, own a car, have that 6-figure job that my parents said I could if I could work hard enough. Like, an eternal, like, imposter syndrome. And so it's hard for us to get to the point of feeling like we're even good enough to start with, much less like that, you know, in some way that... come on, there's a more clever way of finishing this off. That you are not just good enough, but you are important. That you can dictate how things go around you, and it will be fine. You won't be damned for eternity for having some semblance of self-respect and self-importance.
A thing that I wish I could impart on other people who have imposter syndrome. Somehow, imposter syndrome as a concept just missed me entirely when I was a kid.
Baffling.
It must be because I'm so cool. An unstated belief baked into imposter syndrome is that if you really were this thing, then they would recognize you as that thing. But that's not true. You think that the people who have been authorities in your life would actually reward you for being good? Really? If you really were just amazing, if you were the best at everything, they would not be able to tell because they do not care about quality. You can be the best at like being the best and being acknowledged for being the best are unrelated.
Yes, yes. Like, they can either not care about what you're doing, or the other thing, they have their own stuff to worry about.
Yeah.
Because it's like this conflict of like, you're stuck in your own perspective, however myopic it may be, but also not treating yourself as the most important. So it's like this. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of these deadlocks where, you have this one of like, you're sort of fighting yourself for no good reason.
Yeah, and
you're
you shouldn't
fighting your.
You shouldn't fall for the trap of believing that their stated standards are their actual standards as well. Like, when somebody says that they pay attention to quality, don't believe them. Don't just believe them automatically, because they're usually wrong.
Yeah, wait until they do pay attention to quality.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, again, like, like something that I think gets lost is, you're waiting to be rewarded for being quality, for being the best. But like often what happens is people who are technically in positions to reward you, they're busy like trying to corral the people who aren't the best, who are actually causing problems. And so they'll just sort of like quietly rely on you to just be consistent, and you'll never get the like recognition, the reward and such.
Right, and your recognition is not a reward.
Yeah, your recognition is more work.
Excellence in work is punished with more work. Like, your workload will increase to your capacity. So don't give them that.
Yeah.
It basically goes back to the cognitive behavioral therapy, really sitting with the things that you think and you believe and taking them to your natural conclusion, like, okay, what do I think is going to happen when such and such happens? Like, why do I think that I am so lacking? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of freaky how many things get solved by just putting a microscope to it. Like, why is this so hard to realize? Why is it so much easier to live with the ways that your brain copes with negative emotions rather than like address them?
Because it's easier to coast. It's that distracted haze that I was talking about.
Yes.
It is hard to pay attention to things, but that's the only thing worth doing.
Yeah, I don't know what else there is, actually. Like, if you're here, it's like, why be off if you're here? Because you might as well not be there if you're just turned off all the time.
I'm stopping myself from getting into Enneagram 4.
Yeah, that has to be its own episode.
Yeah, that's the natural next step for me.
Yeah. All right. I was looking for that work gets punished with more work thing, because they had like, I took that out of a Pinterest post that had like 6 other things in it, and they're all gold. I wasn't able to find it in the amount of time I wanted to spend on it. So this attention disorder list. This
Are we still doing that?
a little bit. This 54-point attention disorder list.
Oh my god. I mean,
how many did I get out of it? Like, it was like 13 that I didn't get.
Yeah, you got 3/4 of all the points that existed at the time that you took the
Hell yeah.
the survey.
I didn't even have a chance to take the survey. Damn.
Well, it's a work in progress. I'm like the thing I was doing today when you got off of work was I was reorganizing this to make it flow better. I think I got it into a pretty good situation. But like a lot of the things that are important to me are towards the top, and a lot of dual points that go together are with each other now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like
Wait, I got a question for you real quick.
you hit me.
Just kidding.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That was a messy one.
Okay. Do you want to? We could fill the rest of the episode with his attention disorder quiz. Sure. Do you want to try it?
I worry that I don't have enough stamina for it. We could try, but might have to break it off.
All right. Let me convert this back into checkpoint mode. Checkbox mode.
Audience participation. It's on screen.
This is checkpoint. ADHD edition.
Okay. So first point: instantly or never. Urgency is everything. Importance is nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reluctant. Yeah.
You find it hard to build habits.
Yeah.
Now, this is a potentially misleading. Several points on this list are potentially misleading. Everyone finds it hard to build habits. Do you find it harder to build habits than other people around you?
I don't know. See, that's the silver bullet with me. I don't know other people. I know me, and that's how I've gotten to know other people. If I know myself, then I can sort of project onto other people and assume things about them based off of me. Okay.
Okay. Now, given that, I really need to take that energy and put that on the worrying engine. Like that.
But see,
you need to tune out what other people are like giving you worry about.
But see, that only half works, because if it's something that I would worry about, then I'm gonna worry that I have made the other person feel that way in the way that I would feel it.
Worry and concern are different things. Concern is about like having priorities and analyzing things as either urgent or important, and worry is a method by which you intensify your own suffering and nothing else.
We're gonna need to unpack that at some point, because that's a lot of stuff.
Well, it's a good thing that we're recording it so that we can listen to this when it comes about and then we can talk about it again.
Don't worry. Be concerned.
Now put that to a reggae tune.
Don't worry. Be concerned.
I don't think that's what Bob Marley meant.
That's Bob Marley?
Isn't it?
I don't think so.
I could be making it up. I don't know.
I'm reasonably confident that that's not Bob Marley, because that's not Bob Marley is one of those like
shit.
It's one of those like common mistakes from the LimeWire era, when people had LimeWire. A bunch of music got mislabeled. Every metal song you've ever heard, that's Metallica, actually. Every comedy song, that's Weird Al. Doesn't matter if that doesn't sound like Weird Al. Weird Al doesn't swear into songs. Like, none of that. Don't worry, be happy. Apparently, that's Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
So, are you unable to start a task despite no actual barrier?
Well, I guess, what do you mean by no actual barrier?
No, like... I've watched you.
Like, there's no physically anything stopping me?
I've watched you, like, be in front of a task and about to initiate it and think, nothing is stopping me from doing this, but I cannot bring myself to do it.
Oh, like getting up to go to bed.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I'm also gonna scroll down to procrastinates from sleep and check that.
Absolutely.
I reorganized the list recently, so I no longer know where everything is.
We'll find it when we find it.
Okay, you engage in waiting mode or a holding pattern when you have an upcoming task.
Yeah, that's entirely what I did before this. Like, that's why I was RuneScaping, because I can't do anything else. I mean, I guess I managed to change the bed sheet and clean up my space a little bit, but like, that's an exception to the rule.
Sometimes I have the opposite of this. Sometimes I'm like, all right, the microwave is going to finish defrosting this thing that I'm gonna throw in, so that I can throw it into a pan and cook it. That means I have time to. No, I don't, because it's up in 1 minute. 1 minute is an insufficient time to accomplish like most of the like. Can I put away all of the dishes before it comes out and comes due? No, I cannot. I can maybe put away the forks.
Yeah, put away the forks.
Yeah, so I do also have the
feel
opposite.
waiting mode a lot.
I bet. This is the more common experience of attention disorders than the... I labeled it attention disorder, by the way, because I'm not diagnosed. I know there's more than one attention disorder. I don't know what I've got. I assume that it is a flavor of ADHD, but also... that is a category of a cluster of traits that it was made up by some guy, and I don't know if I trust that guy to, like, pick the right traits. This is why I prefer the Tumblr post format from which many of these are extracted. For instance... These are
gold.
I notice that I am immune to artificial or self-composed constraints or deadlines. If I make a bet with myself, like, well, if I don't make it by this time, then I'm just gonna have to like not eat until I do it. And I'm like, well, I'm the person who decided that, so I'm that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, going back to the I need an external punishment if I don't do it.
Right.
I have unironically thought, man, I wish I was back in school so then someone could make me do this.
Right, but the thing is that punishments don't actually incentivize the behavior.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, but like the fear of the punishment, like is the thing that forces me to do it.
It's like it feels kind of like putting the task on like throwing it onto the tracks, like onto an oncoming train of some kind, which is the external threat. So it's like, oh, I have to do the task to like get off the tracks.
Yeah.
Right. But
so it's not about the task, it's about the train that's going.
Yeah.
And external pressures like that suck and are bad for you. And they make you hate whatever it is, even if that external pressure is a reward. This is why turning your hobby into a job kills your hobby. It's not because of the obligations, although it is partly that, but because obligations and rewards are both external pressures. There's a great Zoe B video about this called Grading is a Scam and Motivation is a Myth.
I remember that one.
Extrinsic motivation makes you not want to do something. If I tell you that this sandwich that I made you is delicious and I offer it to you, then you might try it. And if I tell you that I will give you $5 if you eat this sandwich, you're going to be mad sus.
I just heard like Oro's voice in my head, like, no, I would eat the sandwich. Eat
the crackhead. Fuck you.
I don't know if that's what Oro would do. Sounds like something they'd say.
It's definitely something that they could say.
Yeah, and the way you said it made it sound like Oro as well, so...
I know they're, you can give me money to do things type of person. So
right. And this is why I'm convinced that Oro Barista is some flavor of extreme neurodivergent and seems to be like bobbing and weaving through tests. I would love to go over that autism test that I took and... to the surprise of no one, I'm not autistic.
Was it the Rad Czar or something?
I mean, I've taken that one also, but it's a different one that I found.
Oh, you should send it to me then.
Okay.
Yeah, give me that.
I think that Oro may have interpreted these questions in a way that makes them less likely to get an affirmative result. Where is this thing? There it is. Ardos.
Ardos.
Because a thing that happens over and over again with autistic people is you come up to a checklist-based test like this. This is why I'm explaining my test here, is you come up to a checklist-based test and you read the question, and the question is not written in a way that is friendly to autistic people. And so you are caught in the ambiguity, and you have to determine whether this question applies to you or not. And a thing that is holding you back from effectively doing this is that your intuitions do not align with the intuitions of the person who wrote the test.
Well, yeah, because now you're caught in the, well, I guess I don't literally,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're having to like try and reverse engineer, like, okay, what did they mean by this when they wrote it like that? What was that supposed to trigger in me?
yeah,
Yeah.
and like, especially, if you're autistic, like,
Mhm.
oftentimes you are a very literal thinker, and like, these tests are written a lot of times by people who aren't accounting for that.
Even when they think they are. Like, here's an example. You take a test that says, do you do drugs? And you think, well, aspirin is a drug, so yes, but that's not what they're asking you.
Yeah, like, I mean, I have a sip of alcohol every so often. That's a drug. Wait, oh, soda's a drug. Definitely.
Caffeine counts. Literally anything that alters your body chemistry, including food. If you read your textbook when you were a kid, food does actually count as a drug. Did you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
But that's not what they're asking. And
Yeah.
it's this problem forever.
Yeah, I think tests would be way better if it was like, instead of like, here's a shotgun of like 120 questions, here's like 12 paragraphs that you can then answer to.
That's why I'm presenting my attention disorder quiz like this.
Yeah.
Do you find that resuming a task is harder than just going on? Would you rather do an 11-hour marathon of a task, or would you rather tell yourself that you're going to come back to it after a 30-minute break and then realize that the project file is open on your desktop 6 months later?
probably. I feel like the only times that it's not been the case is because of the make it urgent external like must do stuff.
Right. Okay. Do you excitedly make plans, get to the point of action about those plans, and then do something else?
No, because I have to do the plan. We had a plan.
That's because you're also autistic.
We had a plan.
Yeah. This is why I'm also writing an autism one, despite not being autistic myself, is because, like, sometimes...
You have the fodder for it. You have a source.
And I'm intensely sympathetic to people who are not accounted for by the world. I need to look out for people who are excluded by things. I have this like teacher energy of where I need to let everybody know what's happening.
You do, the way you say it though, it makes you sound like a total like self-absorbed, whatever I assume you guys mean by prince.
I mean, I'm self-absorbed, but not to the exclusion of other people.
Yeah. It is. It does like it's tech. It's trying to be altruistic, but it's like throwing up red flags
The
in
proof,
funny ways.
the proof that I'm better than you is that I want to take care of you more than you do.
This feels like I think there's this kind of a split. There's like it's a totally different mode that some people are not used to, like myself, where it's like you're thinking first about other people's perspective and how to come to a conclusion about it, or like bring it to a specific point of like, this is what you need, obviously. And it's like, it's self-absorbed, but not in a self-perspective type of way. It's more just in an evaluation way. It's a drier type of thing where it's like, oh yeah, obviously this is like probably what you need right now.
I think there's a certain extent to which everybody who has this imposter syndrome vulnerability does actually know this deep down, and I can prove it to you. Let me yank it out of you. Okay, check this out. The instinct of a person with imposter syndrome is to tell yourself that you suck and that you're not actually valuable or anything like that. But if I were to prompt you, do you know your worth? Because I know my worth, and this is what it looks like. That's why I am not willing to compromise upon myself sometimes, is because I know that I am more valuable than that. I am more important than that, and I deserve better than that, and so do you. Do you really know your worth. Now that you've considered an answer, let me recontextualize it by just asking the same question again. Do you really know your worth? You can know it intellectually that you are in fact more valuable than that and not feel it. And this is the gap that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel I've started to get inklings of like the actual worth I have, but like it has largely been intellectual first. I guess that's sort of that thing from earlier, like, you know, you have the top level like conscious systems of things, but then there's like finding ways to interface with yourself directly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one of them. That's one of the things many people are blind to is like, what's your worth? Do you even, are you in touch with that directly in a bare metal way, such that like, if somebody removed the ability of language from you, would you still be in touch with it?
Yeah, it's trying to bridge the gap between I think this to I believe it. Like, you can say all you want, like, yeah, I think I'm worthy. I think I'm worth something. But, you know, a lot of the thing that I've noticed in myself, and I think I've noticed in other people, is that they can say it a bunch of times, but trying to, like, get them to feel it on the inside, that's what's going to actually make it real.
But the information is still in you. Like like the thing about prompting you, do you really know your worth, is do you know that you're worth more than this, right? And then if you initially say no, then I just ask you again. You know you're worth more than this, right? Yeah. And they're like, then the second time they're like, okay, yeah, I do actually know that.
Yeah, try to like allow yourself to accept that, yeah, I am worth more than this. Like, turn off, kind of like the thing I was saying before, turn off that second guessing part of you that's trying to sort of self-police you into being less than you are, or thinking that you're less than you are.
Yeah, and that's what I mean when I say deep down you really do know your value. You just have a layer in the way of it, but it's in there.
Remove the layers.
We're just onions.
Yeah, I this is going on the autism list, I think, at some point, of the autistic double question, where you ask something, and if you had confidence, then you might just ask the thing again. I got this from an autistic friend of mine, Two Straws, where she some show wraps up its season, and I say, hey, this show is done, we can watch it together, and she's like, okay, is it done? And I say yes, and then she's like, but is it done? Oh, then no. She's like, okay, yeah, I didn't think so.
I don't get that specific interaction, but I know it's something I've done. It's a fascinating experience.
A lot of times, what you're trying to do with that is you're trying to weed out when somebody is taking like one interpretation, and then by just asking them a second time after they give you an answer, you
force them to reconsider.
You get them to give you a more literal answer. It's a really neat hack if you're autistic and you're around people that you can just ask the same question again to, because you know that's not going to. There's going to be like bitchy people out there that this won't work with, because they'll hate you and trick you. But also do it anyway, because those people are not important and they don't actually have that much power. What's going to happen? They're going to grumble for a little bit. It's not important. It doesn't matter. All right. I forgot to check this box here. Makes plans excitedly. Get to the point of action. Does something else.
Are you checking it for yourself?
I mean, I've observed you do this.
But plans are plans.
Okay. There. Plans. I've unchecked it for you.
Thank you.
All right. Sometimes I'll say, all right, I'm getting off the call and I'm playing this video game. And then I get off the call and I go downstairs and I do something else entirely.
Yeah.
Happens.
Structured procrastination is the name of the cope for this next thing. it is easier to do the second priority than it is to do the top priority. Once you have identified what the top priority is, it becomes harder to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I've seen other people talk about this as a hack where it's like, okay, you've got this thing that you need to do. Okay, instead do these little tasks. Like, okay, so you need to clean the kitchen. How about you just pick up the front room? And then that gives you the momentum to then clean the kitchen.
And it's silly that it works. And like structured procrastination as a formal system, it's even sillier that works. Okay, so the way that this works, you have a list of priorities. Let's say you got 3 things to do. What's the most important thing? Write it down in the list as priority number 2. Even if you know that it's actually the most important thing, by writing it down on as priority number 2, you will allocate it more importance and ease of completion than what priority number 1 is. And then when you have done priority number 2, you promote priority number 1 to being the number 2 spot. And you take 3 and you put it in the number 1 spot. And then you can do the new number 2. And this is totally silly, but it does work on many people. I got this trick from Aaron Hansen.
I am sus about it because, like, the thing that I'm thinking is, like, well, I know that's what I'm doing. Why would I trust myself then? Why would I let myself get hacked?
The strange thing is that the explanation that you gave right there is the same thing as why artificial constraints don't work on me. But people for whom artificial constraints do not work, this does work on those people.
Okay.
It kind of sounds like there's something weird about that first slot where it's like, it sounds more like a pedestal than an actual thing. Like it's kind of like you can't touch it in a way.
Exactly. And this is why it's important to do it with an actual, like, visible list.
Yeah, I imagine the list probably does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever's at the top holds the gold medal for a while.
And now this next one is one that I know you don't have. Only the most recent plan sticks. I can make plans. I made plans for Sunday. Don't know what they were. Because as soon as somebody asks me, hey, do you have plans on Sunday? This one time, I was struck by a bolt of, like, thought lightning. And I was like, no, I do have something on Sunday. And it's with none of the people that I asked about it. Who did I let down on Sunday? I still don't know.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, you never figured it out, did you?
No, there's just somebody disappointed out there, feeling forgotten, and I have no idea who it is.
Out of sight, out of mind, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be on this list.
Yeah, it's further down.
Okay.
Speaking of planning, you can remember that there's an important appointment on Thursday, but you may not realize that today is that Thursday.
This doesn't really happen to me, but
This happens to me all the time.
It doesn't happen often, but it can happen where I will be like, oh, I gotta be doing something on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday.
Yeah. Like, I can tell somebody, oh yeah, I've got an upcoming appointment, a dentist appointment on Wednesday. And they're like, you told me about that 2 weeks ago. That was 2 days ago. And I'm like, ah, damn it.
I think part of why this doesn't happen to me is because I'm constantly looking at a work schedule.
Yeah,
So
that
I
would
just know what day it is.
That helps a lot. And I think that's probably why it's rarer for it to happen with me most of the time. Usually it's the things that aren't work related that weasels its way in that I'm just supposed to remember because my calendar doesn't quite work.
Or things that happen on a longer time scale as well.
Yeah.
Like on like more than a month out.
Yeah, or even like something monthly where it's like, okay, on the first of every month I'm supposed to do I'm supposed to check the oil on the car. Oh, it is now past the first of the month and I didn't do that.
I need to tell this to everyone at home. That fill line on your car's oil, it's supposed to be at the fill line. At least. If it is below the fill line, that is an emergency. If it is in any way below the fill line, you put the dipstick in, you take it out, you wipe it out off, you put it back in and pull it out immediately, and then check the fill line. If it's below full, that is an emergency. Put oil in your car.
Good. I come to you from the editing bay with a bit of context. What Tarbuck is talking about here is a specific issue they've encountered. You might encounter it too. It just has to do with whether or not your engine is leaking oil when it really shouldn't. This could be a manufacturing error or old age in your car. It doesn't really matter the reason. What you want to do is check the oil monthly at least. You can check it more often if you're more nervous about this. And diagnose how quickly the oil leaves the engine. And based on this, if you have a leaky engine that needs refilling often, you might want to fill it more than the max line. If you don't, if it's draining slowly like it should, then you're fine. You can keep it between the minimum and the maximum without any problems. But, either way, you still want to keep checking your oil regularly.
I say this because I know that this is not intuitive.
Well, yeah, because
Cars are
when it says
fucking
max, you
weird.
think, oh, that's the max that it should have, right?
Yeah, that's not a health bar, apparently.
Apparently.
Right. Okay. Do you have an easy time remaining calm in a crisis?
I feel like it really depends.
By crisis, I mean there's a tornado.
Yeah, it really depends. Like, it depends on what is the crisis and a little bit also on who's around me. If I can rely on other people to be more competent, then I have the space to panic.
Okay. I'm tornado proof.
Tarbuck Tornado Transom.
The 3 T's.
Yeah, I feel like not only do I easily remain calm, I simply am calm in a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess I'm just well built for there's something that needs solving right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the more urgent that is, the more it's like, yeah, I'm on top of that.
Oh, I just thought about it. Okay, if other people are around me who are competent and staying chill, then I have the space to freak out. But if other people are freaking out, depending, that might unlock me being able to be calm and be rational about it, depending on what it is.
Gotcha. See, the explanation that I was given for why this is the case is that there's a certain level of stimulus in the mind, a certain level of chaotic buzz that is always in people with attention disorders, and thus when something is on fire that should not be on fire, the amount of stimulus noise and panic and chaos that is created is not any different from how it already is. So you're just used to it, so you can just act.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
The
sense.
world is matching your brain or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hard cut. Echolalia. The sound stem, or vocal stem. You hear a melody pattern, and then you hear that melody pattern everywhere. You find a fun sound, and then you play with it with your mouth for a couple hours, or even just every once in a while for a while.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest example of this in myself is there will be little riffs or something, like the miraculous ladybug da-na-na-na sound
Yes.
that they play often. If I've been watching a lot of Ladybug, I will just start hearing most words that people say, strings of words in that form, and then they'll say something that triggers this effect, and then I will say it back to them in the da-na-na-na pattern format.
Mm-hmm. That specific one doesn't happen to me much, but I did notice it the day after I went through this thing. I don't remember what the thing was, but I remember that it happened. There was read some phrase and read it with a particular melody.
I'm the bee's knees.
I don't have the like musical phrase in quite that way. It's more like endlessly repeating like specific like sounds that I hear, usually like lines from songs or like sometimes like names. Like I've had it where a couple like just certain like world figures names would just kind of like I would just think about over and over again in my head. There was a song recently that was driving me nuts where it's like I keep playing in my head like, where is that from? How do I even know this? I think I have more of that, and sometimes playing with sound, but not often because I'm usually too scared to do it around people, and don't think to do it when I'm alone. Yeah, I don't think I have quite the ladybug thing that you got.
The traditional version of this is somebody will say a sound and then you will just say it back to them or something like that. Like,
yeah, apparently I do that. When I was in the speech team in college, and I was practicing once, someone like said the line a very specific way, and they were kind of like freaked out, impressed when I just repeated it back the same way.
Yeah, you use the same like tone pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good example. I think this is the root of some of my highly repetitive joke formats. Like, okay, to explain this one, I need to take a bit of a circuitous route. All right. So, Urcoy, do you like stop motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with the name Ray Harryhausen?
I feel like I've heard it.
Okay. He made a bunch of like stop motion animation, for movies, and then like was highly involved in some of the major like sword and sandal fantasy adventure movies in the 60s and 70s. Sinbad's Voyage. I forget the exact title of that movie. Another one of those is Clash of the Titans. And Clash of the Titans gave way to I actually don't remember the order that these movies came out in, but that part's not important. Jason and the Argonauts. Okay. And boy howdy, is that movie ever weird in retrospect. I haven't watched it in a long time. I want to do a big Ray Harryhausen marathon this summer. And Jason and the Argonauts was weird because like Odysseus is there.
Odysseus.
Presumably on the way to the Odyssey, but like he just is there as a guy. And so is Hercules.
I see.
And they don't comment on it too much. Like he's not the main character. He's just one of the guys. He's one of the guys on the ship, the Argo. The sailors on the Argo are the Argonauts. Okay. And if Jason had named his ship the Ligma, it'd be Jason and the Ligmanauts.
Oh my god.
I knew that's where you were going. As soon as you said Jason the Argonauts, like, why else do you ever bring up Jason and the Argonauts?
And sure was circuitous.
And I have told the same Jason and the Argonauts joke maybe once a month for the past 3 years.
Oh fuck.
This is your the Nile River.
Yeah. I do this all the time, but what I never tell anybody is that the phrase Jason and the Ligmanauts is the thing that has it stuck in my head. It's because that phrase is viscerally satisfying to pronounce. Jason and the Ligmanauts. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is cellar door levels of good.
That makes me think of like, I think there's probably something to like memory that is more based on or leveraged with cues. Most of how I remember things has to do with cues and not so much particular details, unless that detail has like scratched a deep groove in my brain.
Yeah. Like that's like how I often find that as soon as someone like plays a certain sound, like say an opening theme, I suddenly remember, oh yeah, I used to watch that show all the time. That was not part of my current self until literally the second.
Like a great example of this kind of tagging system, and especially as applies to music, because music uses different areas, like a bunch of different areas of the brain all at once, and so it is easy to use music to ingrain something in your memory forever. Do you ever have the experience of being unable to sing a song, and then the song is playing and you can nail every word perfectly, exactly on beat?
Yes, all the time.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that there are musicians out there who, before a show, will like really quickly listen to the first 10 seconds of every song of theirs so that they have it queued up.
I'm not surprised.
I imagine that would work.
Yeah. I have musician friends. I should ask them. Does this happen to you? Mm-hmm. You don't do live shows.
Yeah. I've only on my most recent project have I started singing.
Nice.
March 30th.
Right on.
Probably. Hopefully.
Watch it be March 30th before this comes out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So to follow on from this echolalia thing, what do you mean song stuck in your head? That's always the case, isn't it? Doesn't everyone always have a song stuck in their head at all times that is continuously playing, as though it is a radio that just won't shut up?
That's me.
Do you have this?
I can fill my head with other things, but like if I'm just left to my own devices, the song will pop up.
Sometimes there will be like little bits of a song that are in my head for long periods of time. And it's hard to tell what my mind would do at rest because a huge amount of the total percentage of my waking experience is listening to podcasts and YouTube and other music, and so there's not really much opportunity for there to be an empty channel for something to inject itself in from my memory in this way.
Well, see, yeah, you need a time where you're just forced to sit and wait, kind of like in a waiting room as a kid, and you didn't bring any of your books or your games or anything. You're just sitting there, and the one thing where you're supposed to slide the beads along the wires that's already taken up, or you don't feel like playing with that.
Or some kid made it sticky.
Yeah. You need moments like that to really test yourself. I get those every so often. That's how I know that I can just suddenly pop up a song. But I have the same thing as you do, where most of my day is filled with something, either talking to other people or usually listening to an audiobook or music.
Right. And it being that full is probably not good for you. Like my brain is constantly full of other people's thoughts. There's gotta be some space for my own thoughts to assert themselves in that kind of, like, what am I missing by not having that space? I'm not really sure. But I also haven't had more than a straight hour of like unfilled airtime since 2015. At least since 2015. Probably longer than that.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm to make sure that I am more able to run out, even though this doesn't actually work, to try and make sure that I am able to run out of like substantive content at some point, I listen to everything very sped up. My minimum speed is 1 3/4 times, like 1.75, and my normal speed is 2.25.
Yeah. I've started to use that somewhat. It's very useful for tutorials, which are famously like rambly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like skip 1/4 of the way through and like put it on like 3 times speed or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get to it.
Do you know Wadsworth's constant?
No.
Wadsworth's constant is the YouTube truism that if you jump to the 1/3 mark of any video, it will have they will just be starting to talk about what you want to talk about. That's the get
I've
to
heard
the
of
point.
that concept before, but not the name.
I'll tell you, there's a big benefit in listening to things sped up, and that is that your speech comprehension goes way up. And there's a big downside to listening to things constantly sped up, which is that everything else becomes unbearably slow. I have permanent fast brain from doing stuff like this, from like playing fighting games and stuff like that. Constantly there are bits of stimulation where the things that are happening really fast. And so when I have to deal with normal human speech, I just put up with it, but it does super suck.
It's like molasses mode.
Uh-huh.
And molasses.
All right. So
Okay, I think
you out of stamina?
inside baseball moment, I think I could do like 1 or 2 more points, but then I'm done.
You see why I thought I could get like a 3-hour podcast out of this one list?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What are the important ones to hit on from here?
Okay, I'm gonna skip around a little bit. You're not distractible, but you're easily bored. You need a minimum level of stimulation. The last point there, needs a minimum level of stimulation, explains a lot.
Yeah. That's definitely me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be doing something with my hands if I'm sitting listening to stuff. I think back to the time in, what was it, senior, I don't know, high school American government class. I was engaged, I was listening, I was interested. I just need to be doing some with my hands. Okay, mister, I can't remember your name anymore. So when I take my backpack out and start organizing things, it's not to be disrespectful because I'm bored to death or I don't care to be here. It's because I need to be doing something.
Okay, so for legal reasons, I'm not advocating violence with this, but I do have to say that anybody who talks a lot about respect should be killed. There is no person who routinely talks about respect or mentions it really meaningfully ever that is not evil, because all of what respect is the assertion of authority. Respect is the demand for obedience to my expectations.
I think this might be for another episode. That feels like something we can talk about.
Yeah, I can talk about that one forever. But I
do have
have to.
thoughts on that, so yeah.
I'm morally obligated to announce this to generally. I just wrote something on this that I've got in another tab, trying to stay focused on this list.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that.
Out of sight, out of mind. And thus, you can forget that you have parents. This was a point of contention between me and some other people when I would like leave, go on a trip or something like that, and then not message them or really meaningfully think about them because they're not there. So I forget they exist entirely until I get back, and then I can tell them what all it was that they missed, and they're like, "Why didn't you call me?" And at the time I was like, "Because you ceased to exist," and they would not understand this.
It absolutely sucks to be on the other side of this, especially when you know that you do this too. Like, I do this to everyone. Like, when you go away, I'm all sad, like, man, I wish you'd talk to me. I wish you'd, like, recognize that I exist, but also, I have also forgotten that you exist until this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not like literally forgot, but like on that certain level where it's like you don't have conscious thought of that person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why like I basically live as though I don't have any surviving relatives until like the holidays.
And this intersects very closely with being blind to the environment, because if you put something in your environment, like a Post-it note, that is supposed to be a reminder, and then it becomes part of the environment, then you stop seeing it. And once it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Mm-hmm. You have to put it. You can't put a Post-it note on the door. You have to put it on the door handle.
Yeah, you have to force yourself to see it.
Yeah. What hot tip for all you ADHDers out there?
Yeah. It must be on the path, not next to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You forget who you've told things to. This is a pretty big secondary indicator. This is original reason why I repeat my material so often is because I forget who I have shared it with. So sometimes you might not get some news from me, and other times you will get it 3 times for 3 times in a row when I see you. It's because I've forgotten that I have told you this.
See, the secret trick to avoiding this is just have a smaller pool of people.
Mm-hmm.
Life
I don't know.
hacks.
I don't think loneliness is the cure to my solutions. Cure to my problems. Cure to my solutions, maybe, but not a cure to my problems. Let's see. You pace when you talk. That's a major tip off.
Easy.
That isn't discussed very often. Let's see. Waiting to the last possible moment to do some necessary maintenance task, like using the restroom or fill the gas tank. That's an important one.
Yeah. You gotta make it urgent.
Mm-hmm.
As we've
I'll go
learned.
to procrastination from sleep. I'll go to bed in a minute. I just need to.
I just need to do my Duolingo. Oh, I need to check Finch. Oh, I kind of want to check this one thing on Reddit.
Yeah, and on the same by the same mechanism, you have extremely long goodbyes. You can say, "Okay, I've got to go," and then 2.5 more hours pass. This happens to me all the time.
That's just called being from the Midwest.
But relative to your environment, I'm still worse about this than everybody else is.
Yeah.
Soon and the other day can mean a 6-month time span.
No. I'll put my foot down on that one.
Yeah, this one didn't quite hit me either.
It's gotten some other people, so I know that applies to some. No, the thing that you two have in common that maybe intersects with this is you're both autistic, and the other person that I was talking to was ADHD only.
That could be.
Yeah, that could be. I feel like the ones.
Because what else would the other day mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but it feels like the other day, and this applies at every possible time scale. I feel like I'm immune to the feeling of the passage of time.
But if you call it the other day and it's not literally the other day, then what's the point of words?
I forgot it wasn't August.
Wait,
sometimes
it wasn't August?
Yeah, I forgot it wasn't August still. Sometimes I'll go downstairs and then Vamp will be waiting for me or something like that. I was like, oh, I thought you weren't coming back, so I just started doing something else. And I'm like, oh, right, I was supposed to only be 5 minutes. I look at my clock, I look at my watch, and it's 1 p.m. and I say, I sincerely believed that it was still 10 a.m.
Damn.
Yeah. I have a feeling a lot of the ones where Tarbuck, you and I are going to disagree
is because it's being intersected with by something else.
Is where the other neurodivergencies come in.
Yeah. You always have a
feels
bigger...
like Tarbuck is particularly vulnerable to time, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time-related anything.
Definitely correct. I am the least tethered to time itself.
Mm-hmm. Tarbuck Timeless Transom. Here's another one.
Hey, I'm just perceiving all of time at the same time as a singular object. It's Tarbuck Time Lord.
Yeah.
You have a reduced response to caffeine and an increased speed of developing a tolerance relative to other people. This is killer. If you can drink a cup of black coffee and then go to bed, it's because you have ADHD.
I think it applies to me.
It does.
I've never had an issue with like caffeine. I don't know about quickly build a tolerance to something, but at least caffeine, absolutely.
But you specifically quickly build a tolerance to caffeine. If you're without it for like a year and then you start taking it again, the effects might last 2 days, and then you're back to baseline.
I have gotten so bad where I've wondered, like, do people actually feel woken up by caffeine? Because, like, I drink it, like, with that as the idea, but it's like, I feel still just as tired, guys.
But the other physiological effects do hit you.
Yeah,
you do have the, like, like increased speed of your digestive tract. You do have the increased blood flow. You do have
increased stress
and anxiety and muscle clenching.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, a sneak preview of my autism list for this is the full body clench. Your entire body is clenched. Always.
Leave me alone.
Clench.
You tense your entire body's muscles. Just all of them, always. And this is why massages are difficult but vitally necessary. Massages and stretching. Do both. You are told you have a strong sense of justice because you are frequently wronged or discriminated against, and you push back on them. I feel like I have to specify why this is the case, because like it's not. If you're autistic, you have an elevated sense of fairness.
Mm-hmm.
If you're only ADHD, it's because you're a marginalized person. And marginalized people, generally speaking, have, in quotes, a strong sense of justice because they're trying to rectify things that are unfair to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I definitely come at it more from the autism perspective on this one. It doesn't quite resonate with me.
Mm-hmm. Emotional states are easily shed if you have ADHD but not autism, because autism makes your emotional states last a really long time.
Yeah, this one is baffling to me. Like, you can just do that?
Yeah. Sometime, have you ever gotten total whiplash from me where I'm deeply upset and then you say one thing that solves my problem and I'm at 100% immediately?
Yeah. And kind of the worst part about it is I have experienced it before, but I don't know how to turn it on purpose.
Mm-hmm. See, it's really easy for me. I thought that this was a symptom of intelligence. I thought that this was the ability to mentally place yourself in a new context really effectively, and maybe it is also that. Maybe that's another way that I'm better than you. But also, it's a secondary diagnostic criterion for ADHD.
Mm-hmm. I remember that from Anachronist when we were growing up. Like, I remember being so confused of like, why did your emotional state just like switch so suddenly? Like, weren't you just mad? Why did you like the funniest thing in the world is cured you suddenly?
Yeah. You hate small talk specifically because it's understimulating, and thus special interest talk only.
I understand this because, like, it's hard because small talk is a very useful tool for me to fill like the social airtime, like I am being sociable type thing, like especially at work or like social events that I'm not like trying to like make deep connections. But then as soon as we move away from stuff like the weather, this thing at work, then I'll suddenly have little patience for anything that's not my current interest.
Mm-hmm. So for you, it's the middle space.
Yeah.
Between small talk and the real important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See, anything under the real important stuff, I either like just doing it to indulge the person that I'm talking to because I know that they like it, or I'm plate spinning.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that you encounter in the world are like Skyrim characters, where if you just repeat a cycle of words that they like, that they'll be stun locked into liking you. With the most shallow of engagements, and this drives me nuts.
But it's so useful for autistic people who don't know how to talk.
Yeah, I know.
It's very useful for work.
Which is why I do it. But I hate it, and I hate anybody who tolerates it. So, now.
This is what we must have survived.
It's apparently an ADHD thing to be an internally sourced personality chameleon. There's two flavors of personality chameleon. This is why these two lists are a pair between attention disorder and autism. There's personality chameleon. You are explicitly choosing to copy other people as a way of fitting in to go stealth mode. You're like active camouflage. trying to not stand out or be noticed. That is, personality chameleon as an external force. That is an autism trait. But personality chameleon as an internal force is that when I am in a new context, my personality is different. I am a different person around different people.
Mm-hmm.
And that
I feel
that
I feel both of those.
okay.
I think I don't quite understand the internal one because, like, it just seems like, I don't know, it feels the same to me.
That tells me that I didn't explain it well.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe I did explain it really well, and everybody else in the audience is fine, except for all the autistic people.
Oh, Urcoy's doing okay.
We've talked about it before.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Leave me in the dust.
You have a strong curiosity, which is tied to your craving for novelty. New things are stimulating, so curiosity is a powerful force.
I think yes and no. It's got to be something in a field that I'm already kind of interested in.
Mm-hmm. Are you a night person and not a morning person? Apparently that's an ADHD thing.
Either, really.
People with attention disorders apparently have an offset circadian rhythm that has you being awake later, which you can easily mythologize as, well, yeah, I'm a support class. I'm supposed to be like a night watchman. I'm supposed to be the one who's awake, sitting around the fire, like looking out for tigers.
Tigers.
And bears.
The prioritizing of the secondary priorities, that it's easier to do the second most important thing, is you being a support class. Lots of attention disorder traits actually are explainable in terms of being a support class.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to need to think on that because I wasn't thinking any of this in that context.
Okay. This is one that is like chemically testable. Magnesium glycinate is more effective as a sleep aid than melatonin. Take melatonin, nothing happens. Magnesium glycinate, knocked the fuck out.
I'm curious to test this. I have no idea.
Okay, especially if you take other vitamins, do watch that you're getting only magnesium glycinate and like whatever else is like naturally in a pill, but not like magnesium glycinate plus B6, because if you overdose on vitamins because you're getting too many vitamins from too many sources, that can like mess you up. You were recently messed up by this probably. Because you were taking 41,000% of B6 for like a year.
Or B12 at least. Or
one of them, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Don't do that.
Diane.
You have a tendency to jump around an ordered list, like this one.
I don't mean to. It's just whatever is the most interesting.
Right. The need for stimulation has you like, you're looking through a one or two and like, well, I'm not finding interest here. Let me jump over here and see if that's any better. Yeah. Okay. I think I hit the major high points. I have other stuff in this list, obviously. We didn't do all 54 points. Those are the big ones.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, and that's why I was looking at the list, like, as we were going, like, man, we're having a lot of good conversations here. I think it's bedtime.
I had less to say in this section because I already went through it with Tarbuck.
Yeah,
and I'm just seeing these for the first time.
A lot of your good, like, you did have good first impression points to make about this. Some of them were points of confusion, and thus I have changed the phrasing of the list to better reflect that. Like, just the phrase sleep procrastination could mean using procrastination as a way of forestalling sleep, and it could mean using sleep as a form of procrastination. Both of them are true. Those are different things.
I have to ask, do you have that thing where it's like, you encounter someone for the first time, you have those thoughts, and then if you are called upon to like redo those thoughts again for like a new set of people, you might not remember it, or you might not feel prompted to do it because it's like I already been there, done that.
Oh yeah, I feel that. Like I've already that could even happen before I've even told somebody something. Like
yeah.
I already talked it out loud to myself, to like a prop person
Yes.
in my head, and then it's like I don't want to rehash this whole thing. The energy is gone now.
I think that's one of the reasons why I don't have the problem of telling people the same story over and over again, because oftentimes, exactly like that, like I've already told that story, even though I've like told it maybe to one person, and anyone else who might care will just never hear that story now. Or like with plans, like I told one person, I kind of intended to tell someone else, but because I've told like one person, that's just cleared it from my brain.
Mm-hmm. You get release on the subject, and then you don't have to keep going on about it.
Yeah. It is worse when it's a situation like what Urcoy was talking, where I've already gone over in my head, therefore it is closed, it's done. I've definitely done that a lot with plans that you were not a part of, but because I've decided about it, it's like it's already set in stone and you're just not going to know till last second.
I wonder if it would be a good exercise to like, especially with a person in the know, of like practice telling the same story like over and over again at like random intervals.
This is easier to do if you have comedic tendencies, because this is the process of honing a joke.
I made myself laugh because I thought of the idea of like telling a story that like has no joke, but like making that the punchline. The in-joke is that there is no joke.
I like the idea of it. That sounds fun.
Maybe I should practice that with my friend Lilith, as we talk often. Or rather, she talks to me often. I tend not to prompt people, like, ever.
Oh, same here. Like, I'm a terrible friend. Like every so often I might send something to someone, but I find it'll only happen if I've interacted with them recently.
Do you also have the thing where if you don't say a thought as it occurs to you in a conversation like this one, in enough time, then it is gone forever?
Yeah.
That's another thing for the list. To that point, I have to bring up, this is not directly related to what we were talking about, but I have to bring up that if Jason, if the Greek hero Jason was in the Elder Scrolls, then the story would be called Jason and the Argonians.
Oh my god.
I'm playing with the format because I've done the exact same joke too many times. So now I have to make variations on it. If the Greek hero Jason was a furry, then the story would be Jason and the Taking the Knots.
Stop.
God. That one took me a second to process. Like, what the hell?
I've been forbade from learning what nodding is. And every time I hear someone bring it up in this sort of context, the more glad I am that I don't know what it is.
It has to do with the baculum bone in the penis of most animals. Humans do not have this.
Why are you explaining it to me? I'm supposed to be ignorant of this. Happily ignorant.
I need to tell the audience.
But I am the audience in this case.
How will they know if I don't tell them?
They'll never know.
They would not know.
They'll never know.
Indeed.
Wow.
That
That needed to get a thought out is what causes the ADHD problematic behavior of interrupting people. By the way.
Yeah. I definitely have experienced that before, where I think a little bit of it like can also be applied to autism in the like linearity of autism, where but I need to get past this one thought before I can consider, your thought or move on to the next step. Like, I need to make sure we have fully addressed this one thing first.
I feel that kind of with the flow of conversations. Like, it's very difficult for me to get the timing just right of like when I end a sentence, because like sometimes it sounds like I'll have ended a sentence, but then I have slightly more to say.
Yeah.
Like it slightly extends it because I'm trying to feel out if I'm actually done with the thought or not. So I'm like still say a few more words and then see if it feels like it's done. Because once it feels done, then I can stop, I guess.
Yeah, it's like the next thought or the next sentence hasn't been queued up in your mind yet, and so you need to sort of stall for time, but you need to do it in a way where you're not doing but also you're not just creating dead empty space that someone else has the opportunity to then fill, and now you're never going to finish your point.
Yeah, you can just fill it with like variations on the same sentence, essentially.
A lot of my stalls in this area to fill in the exact same kind of thing that you're describing right there is learned variations on tone patterns, like the ones that I just did right there as I was as I lost what I was saying and then got it back right there. There's a number of ways of stretching out what you're going to say like that to fill the space so that you're not ceding the floor necessarily, but you're also not going
Yeah.
And I find those variational techniques also to be really good at directing the attention of the audience. If you are talking to somebody and you need to keep them engaged while you lace your thoughts back together, zipper them up in a way that allows you to continue the thing that you were saying, that those kinds of like tone variations, like having a couple of little musical phrases that you can inject into your sentences like that, will buy you the time while also not losing the people that you're talking to.
Yeah. And on the subject of tone, I actually do have one specific thing that I figured out recently. It seems obvious, but like I feel like I have a much better handle on telling something to somebody, or you could even frame it as like teaching, where if you say the thing as if you understand it and they understand what you're saying, it becomes easier on both ends, kind of like because it sounds like a sentence that, you know, it sounds like an understandable sentence, you know, because that has a particular sound to it. It becomes more understandable because the brain is not just listening to pieces of lexical information, it's also listening for audio cues. So you could say something that's like complete nonsense, but say it in such a way that sounds like it makes sense, and people are very confused for a second. You'll have to do a double take because it's like that sounded like a coherent thing, but wait a minute, what did you just say? That didn't make any sense.
This is a good technique to employ in politics.
I learned politics, guys.
Congratulations.
A truly devious mechanism by which to employ this is not just using that tone pattern, but also phrasing things as though the listener already agrees with you. That will just make them agree with you more. If you're trying to convince someone, I often when I'm trying to convince you of something, I would say, and you already believe and have told me that this thing that I'm trying to convince you of. Because if I phrase it as though you're being contradictory, then you will resolve that contradiction in the way that I'm directing you to. Yeah. Powerful rhetorical effect.
Yeah. And when you say that, I immediately notice the difference, though. There is like, when you say I already agree with something, but I actually don't, it feels like, it's like just the fluff. I can feel that the weight is not in there. It's like something's off that like,
Right.
I need to recheck that.
I used an extreme example with that one, but I usually, when I'm trying to be like genuinely persuasive with this method, I will say something like it. And it's fairly uncontroversial to say that the earth is round, for instance. And that's a bit of a funny example, but you know, uh, because the people who have opinions about that one do consider that to be very, very controversial. So the thing that you phrase as being uncontroversial has to be something that they've heard before, but don't necessarily have extremely strong opinions about. For instance, it is fairly uncontroversial to say that no one would offer you a job if they weren't getting more out of it than you were, because if you were getting more out of it than them, then they would offer it to somebody who they could get more out of from it than you. And to a lot of people, the fact that I just said that way might mean like hey, wait a minute, yeah, or like, oh yeah, I believe that already, although I don't know from where. But that's a pretty radical idea.
Yeah.
That has total explanatory power over my job history. Like I started saying that in like 2006. I was like, no, it's like playing Monopoly. No one is going to offer you a deal in Monopoly unless they think it benefits themselves more than it benefits you, because they're competing against you.
Yeah, there's a certain level of power, especially to saying something confidently.
Yeah, you can manipulate the ambiguity space as well as the unopinionized space, I suppose.
And yet, you should, I think, phrase things as though you believe that you're correct, even when it's only something that you, unless it's something that you know that you only suspect. Because what it is to have an opinion is to think something. You have a belief, and then you convey it to other people. If you didn't think you were right, you would believe something else.
I think that's somewhere where I struggle immensely, because I've noticed that I'm constantly downplaying and trying to soften my own language. I'm often phrasing things in what I see as like trying to be the least combative way, which just kind of makes me end up sounding like I don't really know what I'm talking about, I think.
It also kind of makes you sound like a pushover. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I act like one. I am one in a lot of ways, so I'm talking how I act. But yeah, like that too. It makes me sound like a pushover. And even when I'm very confident in the thing that I'm saying, I can never convey that.
I don't know if you have this, but it's like, it feels like stating something like that can feel, backing down from it is, for me, is often like, oh, I'll be, in this environment at least, I'll be perceived as like, nah, that's not true. Like, oh, this isn't gonna land or something. But the practice of like, let me state this thing, even if the volume internally seems quiet, like, it's a really useful tool for like iteration. And I've seen Tarbuck is like constantly iterating pretty effectively because of that.
I don't know what happened to my brain. I think it took a walk at some point because I've lost everything. I feel so bad.
Like, okay. Once more for the people in the back. Do you want to try that again?
Yeah, so let me think for a second.
Yeah, that's the trick of trying to like pull back the words.
I'm definitely not just having you say it again because I'm like being self-aggrandizing. This is self-aggrandizing by proxy.
Interesting. Oh, right. Yeah. Got it. But yeah, so internally you can have like sort of a low volume on things that you do believe, like it's there, and that's the thought you had or the feeling you had. You can feel deterred from putting that out there as if it is the case based on the environment, because it's like, it feels like this set of people I'm with right now probably won't receive it.
Yeah.
And it's that mismatch between like the volume internally is already low, and I don't want the pang that comes from turning up the volume and then that receiving a negative or a non-response. But in spite of whatever response you get from your audience, it's a very useful tool for iteration because, like, when you make it loud, it becomes much more solid, which makes it much more easy to dismantle if later on you find that, like, oh, I actually don't believe that.
This makes me think an awful lot about one of the most pro-lexicality things that I've ever seen, which is a statement from the vampire Marius in a book, The Vampire Lestat, one of the Interview with the Vampire books.
Vampire Chronicles.
The second one, yeah, by Anne Rice, where he said, I generally prefer not to pay too much attention to telepathy and the reading of minds of other people for the purposes of communication, because when I have such a good telepathy that when I ask them a question with my voice words, I can see them forming their opinion from a nebulous cloud into a crystallized thought and creating their opinion as they come to phrase their thoughts to me in a verbal response. That the idea that they have, they don't actually have in a fully formed state or committed state. They decide what their opinion is as they are talking to me.
So you're kind of like just through prompting, you're creating opinions out of thin air.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think this actually does describe the behavior of quite a few people.
I know it definitely describes some portions of me. Like, you know, there are just some things that I have never thought about before or never thought to have an opinion on. And so as soon as I'm prompted, I need to consider it in that moment. Yeah, what do I think about this?
That also makes me think too, is like if you're getting pushed for a response, but you are not, like, you can either make a statement that is very clear of like, here's my best guess, or you can go the other way. It's like, no, actually, I don't have to answer this. I can wait on that. I can think, yeah, I can crystallize this more in, I guess one's own mind isn't necessarily pure, but it is more
Like kind of devoid of certain noise. Like you're not just parroting what the other person is saying. Because I know that's something I've got a problem with. Like my opinions will sort of shift, or like the color of my thought pattern will change depending on who's around me, and I'll sort of chameleon towards whoever's talking at me.
Yeah.
Which
So
then
I
makes
guess
it troublesome. Like, what do I actually think about this, though?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess from this what I'm getting is like you have the right either to iteration or deliberation. Of like, no, I'm gonna deliberate on this myself. Or yeah, let's try this opinion and see if it breaks or not.
Yeah, and often, like, for me at least, I think which one I choose comes down to who am I with? Who do I feel safe with? Like, is it safer to at least perform going with the group, or is it safer to hold back? And usually when I, like, hold back and I feel like I'm safe holding back, it's often because I don't think I agree with the group, but I think there's enough space for me to be like, I don't know.
Have I talked to you much about how I used to be a bad guy?
Bad.
I haven't heard that phrase in a while.
Yeah. Before I got into My Little Pony, I was a villain. I was a bad guy. And one of the relevant to this conversation examples of that is that when I was in the past choosing how to comport myself in a new environment, that an element of that internally sourced chameleon of personality was that I would also just alter my stated beliefs to what advantaged me most in the conversation that I was having. What is it in my best interest to believe in order to survive, thrive, and manipulate in this new environment? And so I would appear to believe opposite things to different people because the seeming allegiance of claiming to believe this or that would win them to my side and gain me some sympathetic positioning. It could mean that I have access to resources through this person that I would not otherwise. It might mean that they might not evict me or like a variety of things like that. And while it is abrasive to have such strong convictions sometimes when you are on the wrong side of those convictions, as I learned to value other people through My Little Pony, it also meant that I dispensed with this kind of like surface level manipulation, because I would prefer to be honest with people, damn the consequences, which means that I'm much, much louder about my convictions. And I was already constantly advocating for this and that at the time originally.
Mm-hmm. I think more people than they realize are like already doing this. Yeah. I can already think of like specific examples of where I've done that. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of it, at least for like younger folks, is like, because you kind of have to. Mm-hmm. It's like for certain people you're not safe around. So like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All the more reason to, get away from them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's poisonous to the soul, probably.
Oh, it really is. Like, there is so much like freedom, freeingness, like removal of the shackles that is hard to describe, explain, put in words in a way that someone in that situation will believe until they've actually reached that point. Because a lot of times when you're in those kind of situations, you easily convince yourself, like, this is it. Like, this is how it's always going to be.
And you know that there's shackles on your hands, to use a metaphor. You like if you're a kid in this situation, if you're an adult in this situation, because people don't leave home anymore because the age of home ownership is over. You know the shackles on your hands, but you have forgotten the shackles on your feet and the shackles on your voice. And there are things about the constraints of your environment that you take for granted that you do not realize are imposing on you, because there are other ones that are more obvious to you. Mm-hmm. And when all of that pressure is suddenly off, you will realize that actually life is worth living. Depression is very often a response, like depression unto suicidality is a response to the lack of control over your life and environment. And thus, if you find yourself in one of these situations, trying to get as much control as possible, even if it's by choosing to be homeless, can be better for you. Mm-hmm. It can be such a relief to not be under constraints that a lot of the other bad things that might be a trade-off are absolutely worth it. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you to run away from home. Okay, I'm telling some people to run away from home. Analyze your own situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this feels like a breaking point. This feels like we can snap this one off.
Yeah, I've been allowing the Midwest goodbye, the ADHD goodbye for a while now, because I'm scared. I don't know how to end this. I don't know how to prompt to end this, other than just bye and turn off.
Well, you want to plug your stuff? That's a good way to end things.
I need to have stuff to plug. Find me on YouTube, at NotAVampyre. I'm not really active there right now, but if you want to look at my body of work and hear more of my ramblings, that's the best place to go.
You've got like 200 videos, don't you?
Something like that, yeah. I don't remember most of what I've said in any of them. I playfully say that I disavow my past self until I can determine if I agree with them still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you only are your past self to the extent that you resemble your past self and no further. I have been Tarbuck Transom and continue to be. you can find me at Tarbuck Transom if you want to look at some crafting videos, or the thing that is more likely appealing to you if you have enjoyed this podcast so far is the Arch Plays.
Oh yeah.
A podcast that we did where we talk about some subject or another over top of video game footage that we are live recording, so that we have things to look at while we are having this conversation, because otherwise you would get tired.
Probably the best episodes are like halfway through or something after we figured out how to.
Once we start having thumbnails.
Yeah.
Once we start having
those old ones.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Disavow.
Once the thumbnails start getting crazy, that's the era to pick up from. Basically, the show is approximately an off-brand Digibros or an off-brand Vic and Hope. I assume there's a significant overlap between your audience and people who know what that means.
I'm not sure actually. But there you go. I'm glad we. Wow, wasn't that a great 2.5 hour podcast about the Arch Plays? Sure was great.
Yeah, I was
It was a
gonna say,
great
hey, we finally tied it back in. We got around to talking a little bit about the thing we were talking about.
We didn't talk about the show. We didn't talk about how the show comes about,
or even why it came about, other
Yeah.
than it's vaguely a knockoff.
If you want to know why the Arch Plays came to exist, you're gonna have to tune into the next episode. Good night, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good night. I've been Urcoy. You're already on this channel. You know where to find me. You can also go to my website, uraniumcoffee.neocities.org, to find the things. Thank you, and good night. Oh, man.